Today I'm going to be ranking whether Premier League managers are going to keep their job throughout the season and make it to the end or not. Let's get straight into it. Mikel Arteta at Arsenal. I think he's got to stay. He's going to stay. I think they're going to be up there. But even if they didn't have the greatest season, I still don't think that they would get rid of him. They've stuck through thick and thin with him so far. He's been there for like 7 years now. I think it would have to take a lot for him to get sacked, even if he didn't have a particularly good season this season. I think they would just say, okay, right, next season needs to be better. I don't think they would get rid of him, even if he had a poor season. Emery, I think the same. I think Aston Villa are pretty good at keeping a manager, especially someone as good as Emery. He's brought them a lot of success over the last few years. I think he's warranted, if he doesn't have a great season, keeping his job to go on to the next season. They've got SCR problems. They're in Champions League. They're going to be in all the cups. They've got a worse squad than they had last season, so he's going to be up against it. But I think he'll be okay. Marco Rose for Bournemouth. Bournemouth are pretty good nowadays at keeping a manager, because a lot of the time what happens is they don't have to sack the manager. He makes it to the end of the season, and then gets swallowed up by a bigger team. So I don't think they'll get rid of him. I think they'll have a pretty good season. I think he'll stay till the end. I don't think Bournemouth will get rid of him. Next, Keith Andrews. I think he'll stay till the end of the season as well. Very good manager. Proved himself before last season. Everyone thought he was going to have a hard time last season. Just missed out on Europe. And they could have got there. They were just a bit unlucky towards the end. But solid manager. Did well last season. I think Brentford are going to push on. Probably, I think they'll get into Europe this season. And I think even if they don't, they'll keep hold of him. I don't see a world where he gets sacked unless something really, really bad happens and they end up in the relegation zone, which I cannot see, and no one will be predicting. So I think he's a safe bet to stay. Hersler for Brighton, again very similar, solid coach, done well throughout the season since he's been at Brighton. I think he even if they had a pretty bad start to the season, I think they'd still keep him because he had a bit of a bad run last time. They kept hold of him, and then he improved. So I think they'll just do the same. Alonso, I personally don't think they're going to have a bad season, but knowing Chelsea, if he doesn't start very well and gets to Christmas and they're not where they expect to be, it would not surprise me one single bit if he was to get sacked, because they do not care about someone's status. They don't care about someone's potential. They care about the here and now. Like I said before, I personally think they're going to have a good season, so I don't think this will happen to them. But if they don't start how they want, when it gets to Christmas time, I think he'll be in trouble if they don't get to where they need to be. But I think they will, so I'm not putting him there because I think he's going to get sacked. I'm putting him there because Chelsea are pretty ruthless when it comes to hiring and firing managers. Next, Frank Lampard. I've got him in definitely staying. I think he's earned the right at Coventry to have a season. No one's expecting them to stay up, but he's shown that he can fight, get them promoted, smashed it in the Championship, then might be able to hold their own in the Prem. But even if they get relegated, I still think he'll keep his job. Next, PSH, Crystal Palace. I think this is very similar to a lot of the other clubs that are in this category here. It's going to depend when they are at Christmas, because Palace aren't a team. They haven't really strengthened their team. They've sold their best players and recruited players that are maybe just a little bit worse, but have made up the gap. So I don't think they've got worse as a team, but I definitely don't think they've got any better. And they weren't particularly good last season, with the best manager they've had for a while. So he's in the category of depends where they are at Christmas, because if they're in a relegation zone at Christmas, I don't see him staying on, to be honest. Moyes for Everton, similar. I think the Everton fans, from what I've been seeing and hearing, I think they're a bit bored of Moyes now. He's that steady manager who you probably won't get relegated, but you're also not going to be not really going to be challenging for Europe. At West Ham, yeah, he got him into Europe, but the football wasn't very good. And yeah, he won them a cup, so fair play to him. But I mean, the last couple of seasons at Everton, he's been pretty poor, but just kept them mid-table, chilling really. And I don't think they want that anymore. I think they want to start pushing up, especially as there's 8 places in the Premier League now for Europe. Everton fans will want them to be pushing up into that sort of area. Arbeloa at Fulham, I think he's going to keep his job no matter what happens. I think he'll get a bit of a grace period. He obviously brand new to the Premier League, so he hasn't managed there before. Fulham, decent mid-table team, could be better, could be worse. So they are sort of mid of the range sort of team. It might be nice for them to get some new blood in there after having Marco Silva there for quite a few years. I think he'll keep his job no matter what, because I think they're going to give him a couple of years at least, as long as obviously they don't have an absolute nightmare, which I don't see them doing. I think he'll be safe no matter what for this season anyway. Jakurovic, I've got him in needs a miracle, because ultimately this might be Hull's one chance to stay in the Premier League. They scraped through the last promotion where they were 6th in the league. On the last day of the season, made it into the promotion, the playoffs. And I don't think he's bought himself enough in the bank to have a terrible start to the season and then just go, okay, sound, we're going to keep you, whatever. I have a feeling that if they're bottom of the league or second from bottom and quite cut adrift by Christmas time, they're going to want to try and salvage something. So they're going to want to get rid of him and maybe get a Premier League manager or a past experienced Premier League manager in there to save them. Gary O'Neill, I think he's in the same boat. He's had multiple chances at staying in the Premier League, been sacked a few times, bounced up with Ipswich now, did well last season, but I don't think he's got the money in the bank to have a poor start to the season. If they're bottom by Christmas, cut adrift, I think they will replace him with a manager who might be a bit more Premier League hardy than him, because he's been sacked quite a few times from different clubs in the Premier League. It must mean something. They all see that we don't see what happens behind closed doors. There must be a reason why he keeps getting sacked. Daniel Farke, Leeds. I think it depends where they are at Christmas. Again, this is a very similar scenario to a lot of the guys in this middle part of the tier. Is if they're really bad, like I'm talking relegation zone by Christmas, and sort of looking really bad, I think they could get rid of him, but I don't see that happening, and I think they'll just be okay. So I don't see him in any trouble. Areola at Liverpool, I've got him as safe. Again, Liverpool aren't really the chop and change manager sort of club. They want someone who's going to stay there for a good few years. I know it didn't really work with Arne Slot, but I think Areola is a different manager, and he's shown his competence in the Premier League last season. So I think he'll be okay no matter what. Even if they don't have the greatest season, they just have an okay season, I think he'll still be okay. But I think they definitely need to improve their squad going into this. They're still at this stage now where we're like a week and a bit out, or just a week out of the Premier League starting, and they've not really signed anyone of note yet, and they've lost some key players. So if he can get some decent players in the door, I think he'll be okay. Even if he has a not very good season, I think he'll still be okay anyway. Maresca at Man City, I think he'll be okay as well. Like again, Man City are very much a get a manager in, keep him there for a while. Even if it doesn't go very well the first season, they'll know it's a transition season. Just as long as it's not absolutely horrendous. But I think he'll be okay. Next, Carrick. I've got Carrick in Depends Where They Are at Christmas, because the second half of last season he was absolutely on fire, smashed it. But this season is a completely different season to the last season for Man United. They're in Europe and there's expectation from him now. Is he going to be able to cope with the Europe, the Sunday games, the midweek games, the amount of pressure that's on him now to do well this season? He doesn't want to do any worse. Again, they haven't really done much to improve their squad as it stands at the moment. They've got one or two players in, but the transfer window doesn't seem to be going their way at the moment. So I think if they are not sort of doing well by Christmas, I think they're going to be looking at maybe replacing him. And Man United are a sort of team that they will get rid of their manager, especially if everyone's outcrying for him to go. If he's not doing well, the pressure comes on Man United managers real fast. Just ask the last 5 or 6 managers, all come on top real fast for them. So I personally think he'll be okay, but if they're doing terrible in Europe and they're doing terrible in the league, it wouldn't surprise me if they got rid of him. Yasil for Newcastle, again, I've got him in the middle part for the same reasons all the other ones. The difference with him is he hasn't got no Premier League experience, for one. 2, they've sold literally all their best players. I don't know what's going on at Newcastle. Something crazy is going on there, and it's not looking good for them at the moment. They've got quite a few players in, but like I said in one of my previous videos about the transfer list before, as we stand here right now, they haven't got a marquee signing to put up and go, yeah, sound, look, we've replaced exactly what we've lost. They've lost the heart of their midfield, which is a massive component to a team. You can't lose your best couple of players and not replace them in the centre of the pitch and you be okay. I think they're really in trouble. And also, because he doesn't have the managerial experience in the Premier League, it might take him a handful of games to get into it. And are they going to give him enough time when it gets to Christmas if they're really struggling? I don't know. So I think he's got a lot of work to do. Glasner at Forest, I've got him in needs a miracle. Nottingham Forest are the new Watford almost, and where he could turn up in the morning one day, he's got a different pair of trainers on, and he gets sacked by Marinakis because he's almost insane. Glasner's not one of them guys that will back down either. We've seen that from when he was at Crystal Palace. If he wants something, he wants it. If he don't, then he will argue about it, or he will go to the media and say something about it. He'll say exactly what he feels. And we learnt from Nuno getting sacked because he was saying what he wanted in the media. The guy doesn't care. He will do what is right for his ego and his personality rather than what's good for the club. They scraped staying up last season, so he was justified in his actions to what he did. Well, he can justify his actions and say, well, nothing really bad happened, so we're good. But I personally think Glasner will be the first one sacked if they don't start really well. If they start and they don't win a few games at the beginning of the season, I think they're going to struggle. Because again, they're another team that have sold pretty much their best player. Maybe not exactly their best player, but pretty much their best player. And have replaced him with some substandard players that won't be the same as having Anderson in there. So we'll see how that goes. But I personally, if I was going to put a tenner on someone to be sacked first, it would be him. Lebris, Sunderland, I've got him in the middle because again, they're in Europe this season. Now, Sunderland, yeah, it's a Europe trip. Happy days. Let's all go and have fun in that. But ultimately, they need to stay in the Premier League. So they're not going to be in the same position as Tottenham was in the other season, where Big Ange just pretty much sacked off the Premier League to win the Europa League. Sunderland ain't winning the Europa League. They might do well in Europe, and hopefully they do, because they're a good club, good supporters and that. I hope they do well, but I don't think they've got the squad depth to have Europe and Premier League competing at all levels Thursday, Sunday, Thursday, Sunday, Thursday, Sunday, I think they're going to start to struggle, and they're going to want to prioritise the league, or the ownership, I imagine, will want to prioritise the league more than Europe. But the fans, the players, the manager will all probably want to do really well in Europe and just sort of sacrifice the league. But you can't really do that in the Prem. It doesn't work like that, and they could really start to struggle. So I think if they don't start okay in the Premier League and get themselves a decent little gap between the bottom sort of clubs and where they are, I think they could be looking at what he's up to. And lastly, De Zerbi. Again, for the same reason that Alonso's in here, I don't think De Zerbi's going to get sacked. I think Tottenham are going to have a pretty good season this season. It's going to take them a couple of games, I think, to get into it. But once they get into it, I think they're going to be a really good team this season. However, if they don't, he spent an awful lot of money to only play Premier League and domestic cup games because they're not in Europe. He has to do well this season. If by Christmas time they're not pushing into the European places, he might be in trouble. He's also another one of them managers that will throw his toys out the pram if he's not happy. And it looks like, from the outside looking in, it looks like they've given him everything that he could possibly want. And that means buying players and also selling players that have potentially caused them trouble over the last couple of years. If he doesn't perform, it could well be that he gets fired. But like I said before, I don't think he will. I think they're going to have a good enough season to not have to worry about that. So as a roundup, Glasner is my personal pick to be the one that gets sacked first this season. Like I said before, Marinakis doesn't care who you are and how good you are and what you've won. If you ain't winning, or if you ain't got the right attitude, you'll be gone. Well, I think it's going to be quite a season where there's not many managerial changes, to be honest with you. There's quite a lot of decent managers in where they are, so I think quite a few of them will stay. But obviously, it's the Premier League, anything can happen. Thanks for listening, much appreciated. If you agree with me, let me know in the comments. If you think someone else is going to be sacked first, then again, let me know in the comments. I'll always reply. See you in a bit.